Crispin.
Hello?
Crispin.
Yes.
Hey, it's Bay from
Yes.
Total Gym Radio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. How you
Hey,
doing?
man. How you doing?
Good. We hooked it
very
up.
good. Yes,
So,
it's happening. It's happening.
It's happening. So did you smack them guys for me?
Not yet, but I've got it on my to-do list. Because we have to start. We start that leg of the tour in 2 weeks with those guys. So they're on the first leg right now, and then soil drops off, and we're replacing soil. So we'll see those guys in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
Cool. So one thing that really kind of stuck out at me, and I was really curious. An album that you released a few years back called On Life Support, and like reading about the band, like going through member changes and stuff like that. Was that truly how the band was? I mean, were you truly on life support at that point?
Oh, absolutely, without question. Without question. And it goes even deeper than just the band members. Switching over for me, it was also because the first member that kind of joined the band that helped me even want to continue to go was Ryan Ramsdell, who is my rhythm guitar player and has been through thick and thin with me since 2012. And when we first met, he had just his fiance had just passed away from cancer, and he was in a really dark place. Yeah, so in many ways, yes, very much we were on life support. He was going through the darkest days of his life, and I was going through the darkest days of my life, and it was just like, no, this album's going to be called Life Support. And so, yeah, it was very fitting, very, very fitting.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I was even like going through all that and just seeing like stuff like again with like I said with member changes and just probably how the whole record industry is as a whole. all those things.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. It's and I think that's half the reason why now we're putting out a product called History of Our Evolution, which is it is all about being able to survive through that evolution. A lot of people 10 years from now, they won't even understand. They'll know exactly how the industry works now. They'll know where their incomes come from, and it will be all settled and worked out. But it's the bands such as ours and the bands that are even older than ours that are trying to evolve from the way that the music industry used to run to how it runs now and how it's going to run 10 years from now. Trying to survive through that evolution is a real testament to whether you really want to do this as an artist.
And how, I mean, like, you guys are a true independent artist. Like, when you first got onto the scene, I mean, you guys had a label deal. Are you happier now, being that you are the independent artist, especially like with the state of the business, and you're able to truly have control of your own destiny as much as possible?
Absolutely. Again, stemming from the evolution, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my career. Because I started my own record label called Rock Shop Entertainment, and it made me really realize since I did and found out where all those income streams, where all the record labels were, essentially making their money, and it's kind of staggering when you really start to dig into it as an artist and find out the business and find out where the record companies are taking the money. And there's some. I mean, I actually saw this the other day. Peter Frampton had posted, I got paid $1,700 and from Spotify, but I got 55 million streams on Spotify. And he's sitting there scratching his head, and it's like he's looking at the wrong people. He shouldn't be looking at Spotify. He should be looking at his record label, who is making the money off of Spotify.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's an interesting time where even the older generation, much older than us, are sitting there scratching their heads going, I better start figuring out where my money is going.
Yeah. It truly, I guess it's got to make you too, in this day and age make you more responsible, as an artist. Where, say in the glory days of the '80s, where all these artists were so reckless, and it seemed like they didn't have a care. Where now you really got to have your eyes open and see what's going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The days of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's not really that anymore. It's more like wake up at 7 and work your ass off all day. And when you finally get to the point where you get to go out on tour and enjoy a bit of it, and connect with the fans, I mean, that's what it's all about. You're an entrepreneur now. It really is. It's a job that you can be proud of because you get to be creative. It's you're an artist. You truly are an artist if you're out there and you're making music and getting it out to the people. But it is a grind, constant grind.
Yeah, and even where the fun part of being on the road, it's still, I'm sure you're still up early after a long night of driving and doing the grind all day between the whole social media world and interviews and stuff like that as well.
Absolutely. But and I don't want to make it sound like that to me, as far as I'm concerned, I've never been so entitled to the fact that I don't believe that we have to work hard. I believe that if we do work hard, it would be nice to be able to make a living doing what we're doing, and I can say that we are doing that now, and that's one of the nicest parts about doing this through my own label, is that is a reality. Where before we would just get out and grind it out for the labels to make the money, and that's the truth, and that's the unfortunate. It doesn't work like that all the time. Just like you said, back in the '80s, I think a lot of bands, they made so much money. The record labels almost wanted them to be drunk and high, so they didn't see how much money that they were stealing from them. You know what I mean?
That's the truth,
Just
though.
Being honest.
It's really the truth.
It is. Yeah.
It's kind of weird too. Because I grew up in the '80s, was a teenager through the '80s, and seeing all these big arena bands and all, where you thought it was just the whole, like you said, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, to now modern day, when these bands come through town and you go see them in a club where it's a couple hundred people. It's I had this reality check. I guess it was 15 years ago. I'm at a club and I was seeing whatever band it was, and I remember just turning to my buddy and saying, you know what, it's not the sex, drugs, and rock and roll anymore. This is truly their job, and it was truly an eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
This is their job, and I never looked at it like that. But I'm this is truly their job.
Yeah, absolutely, and you have to have that mindset now. There's just. It doesn't mean that you can't go and have a good time, but hey, most people that work a 9 to 5 from Monday to Friday, they get to go out and party once a week too. You know what I mean? It's not much different in our job. You can't party 7 days a week like you used to, and you certainly, even if you were partying 7 days a week, you won't be able to do that for very long if you also have to be looking at all the other aspects of the job. Because that's essentially what it is. It's a job. But I'm so grateful to have this job, and and if I have to bust my ass to keep that job, then so be it. That's the way I look at it.
Sure. Now, how about you guys just released Decade 2 last month, and now this is all going to be part of a box set? Am I understand that correctly?
Yes, that is correct. Yes. Did you want me to elaborate on that?
Is there going to be 6 parts to this?
Yes, it's kind of 6 parts. So in 2016, we released the first 2 parts, which was Decade 1 and then Decade 1 Acoustic. So that was a brand new album and then all acoustic versions of that brand new album was Decade 1 Acoustic. Then this is part 2 of that, which is another brand new album with also a whole section of acoustic versions of that. But we decided to put it all on the same record. So there's actually 18 tracks on this. And then there's also, when the box set comes out on the 31st, there is a whole ton of demos and rarities. There's 20 demos and rarities from the past, from the very, very beginning and nucleus of this project, and it's all going into one big box set called History of Revolution.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of that was the one thing too that was really sticking out to me. It was guys do a lot of acoustic versions of your stuff, and you know the cover of the Linkin Park song "Numb" and all. Do you guys do acoustic shows? I mean, you do a lot of acoustic recordings.
Yeah, you know what? One of the reasons why we have is we did after we released Decade Acoustic Sessions, we did a full acoustic tour, and it was one of the coolest tours that we've ever done. And it makes it fresh for us as a band instead of just hammering out a rock show every single night for 12 months. You know, it's kind of cool to be able to go play a rock show, take a month off, come back to a couple of months of acoustic, and it makes it more interesting for your fans, and they get to see you in two different versions of the same band, because it's a very different vibe. And I've always believed a great song could be played in a rock version or an acoustic version, or whatever version it is that you want to do. But for us, we really love doing acoustic versions. So, and some people love our acoustic stuff and don't like the rock stuff. And some people love the rock stuff and don't like the acoustic stuff. So, you know, it can go both ways.
I mean, it does come across really, not only like different songs acoustically, but like really, I mean, it's a whole new world. And it really just changed the whole aspect of the songs.
Yes, 100%.
Now, what made you guys want to do the Linkin Park cover of Numb, which came across amazing? It's such a beautiful version.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know, I've always been a huge, huge fan of Linkin Park, and so is everybody else in the band. But, you know, the honest truth is I've gone through some serious stuff in my own life, which has, you know, led me to suffer from the same afflictions that you know, that Chester has, and I really felt like it was the right time to be able to do that, and to be able to get across to people, you know, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. It doesn't matter how rich and famous you might be. You know, you might think that these people have the entire world, but they still struggle with that same affliction, and that's what really spoke to me, and I felt like it was the right time to do that song, and especially that song, because I've always felt like that song is not necessarily about a relationship with a significant other, or maybe that significant other is that demon that you're fighting inside yourself,
right.
And that's how I've always connected to that song.
You know, the whole scary thing too with the whole situation with Chester, and I really, you know, for years being a fan of Linkin Park, you hear the songs and you're singing along in your car or wherever you're listening to it, and you're never, like, with me, like, it wasn't clicking, the lyrics. And then after he passed, and I really listened to the lyrics, I was like, holy crap, like, this poor guy was crying out for years. You can just hear it in his music, and I'm like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, did anybody else
totally
realize how
agree.
he was crying out, or did they miss it like me too?
I certainly have, you know, and I think that's my point. I've always felt that way. I think that's one of the reasons why I've always connected, not just musically, or not just thought that they were just an amazing band melodically, you know, or live. They were both, but there is something definitely that's going on there lyrically that, you know, if you dig a little deeper, that there's definitely some darkness there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Scary. So you guys also did a cover of the There's No More tune, Epic.
Yes.
That came up.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been a huge fan of Faith No More. They were one of my first rock bands that I ever loved, and I've always felt like it's very important as an artist to make sure that when you're doing something, you're doing it in your own way. You know, anybody can just go and repeat doing somebody else's song exactly the same way that they did it. And so we did it, and in some ways it's funny. 50% of the people absolutely loved it. 50% of the people hate it so much that it almost worked in our benefit, because there was so much hate that they didn't even realize that the more that they hate it, the more that they spoke about it, just spread the word wider and wider. So, in some ways, it's like people were discovering us because of the fact that people hated it so much. So it's almost a win.
That's funny. You almost got to kind of hope for that 50-50 love-hate, or even whether it's loved or hated more. Either way, it's going to get some streams or hits out of it.
Exactly. And it did quite well. I mean, we actually, the amount of streams, we got more streams on that than we have on some songs that we've actually put a lot of promotional dollars in. We put very little promotional dollars onto that, and it's streamed very well for us. So I can't complain, and I'm happy. I'm proud of what we did with it, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't like it, there's going to be another tune. It's okay. There's plenty to choose from.
There's going to be plenty more coming. There's a whole box set coming. So what's all going to be in this box set? Like, I mean, you're going to overload people with the VEER Union music. Yeah,
I mean, there's just in Decade 2 alone, there's 8 brand new songs. We do have a new single that's coming in a couple of weeks. Most people don't even know that yet, but we have a brand new single, my favorite song on the album, and the one that we've been kind of gearing up to really kind of get out there. And so that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. People will get the first taste of that. And then so there's 8 new songs, the 2 covers, and then there's 8 acoustic versions on Decade 2. And like I said, 20 songs on the demos and rarities, and then the original 18 songs from Decade 1. So there's 56 songs that's coming out on this box set. It's a lot of material.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, when that's all said and done, how do you follow that up? 58 songs?
With something way more simple. Here's our new album. Something nice and simple, like here's a 6-song EP. They're all new songs. Done.
Right. Here's one single. There you go. That's it. We're done.
See you next month. Here's one single. Exactly.
But you can get away with that now. That's the scary part.
I know, it's crazy. Again, the evolution of just the music industry has just changed so much, and it's still changing day by day. And trying to keep up with it, I feel bad for the artists that are much older than us, that are completely they're not tech savvy whatsoever. They don't know they really just don't know what's going on. They're just like, I just want to play music. But it's tough to keep up.
Yeah, it really is. So where should we send everybody to get the music, the box set, and keep up with you guys and everything else?
Well, if you're like me and you're all about streaming, August 31st, you can go to definitely I push you to go to Spotify or Apple Music, or if you use one of the other places, Deezer, or there's so many. Please go stream the music there. The new album's going to be out August 31st. But if you are one of those people that still like to have the hard copy in your hands, this box set is limited edition. So we're only doing one run of this box set that will ever exist. So the only way that you can get that box set is from the VEERUnion.com exclusively. So if you are interested in getting it, it says right on the box, limited edition, so that we can't fake it. So go to the VEERUnion.com, and I think probably, you want to get we've already sold a fair amount of those box sets. I think they're already 50% gone. So, so I think that if you're one of those people like me and you want to have an actual hard copy version, we have signed copies that we're selling at theveerunion.com. And yeah, you can keep in touch with us on Instagram, /the VEER Union, Facebook.com, /the VEER Union. That's basically how to keep in touch with us.
Nice. Now, that 50% that are already sold, is that the 50% that is going to like it or hate it?
Either way, I've either way they bought it. So no, I'm just kidding. I would tend to believe that if they spent their hard-earned dollars, that it's the people that have heard something and they like it, and that's why they bought it.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, Crispin, I'm glad we got this hooked up, man. It was great talking to you. Lots of luck with everything.
Yeah,
and,
you too.
You guys got to come to Philly sometime soon.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think that right now we're talking about booking a second leg to our tour. So there's a ton of places that we haven't, that's not on this tour. So that's coming up because we start this tour with Puddle of Mud, Saliva, Tantric, and Shallow Side on the 30th. And then we headline for a little while, and then we are booking another leg. So we'll definitely be back to Philly for sure.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Awesome, man. Us too.
Cool. All right, man. I'll keep in touch. Take care, and, sell some more albums.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Okay, man. You too. Bye-bye.